I'm not gonna lie to you guys. It's been a long couple of days. The last 2 days feel like we've done a million things, but we didn't do nothing. I know that probably doesn't sound like it makes any sense, but if it does make sense to you, you're watching the right channel, and you're about to get your Tuesday morning tech tip from Pugliese Speed Shop. So I feel like right now is the calm before the storm. It's like eerily quiet in the shop, and well, pretty much looks like it looks when I left here. I don't know, 4 or 5 hours ago. It wasn't that long ago, guys, and I caught a couple hours of sleep, and we're getting back after it, and we you shouldn't have to do that, right? It's 100% my fault. We've well, you guys know we're actually working on a Ford back there. We've had here for quite some time. It should be done, but guys, things just keep getting in the way, and well, we keep making excuses. That happens with a lot of different things in life, not just your projects. You probably do it at work. I know I do. you know, um, you know, if you want to improve yourself a little bit, you always find, some things are really, really hard habits to start and super hard habits to quit, right? That's, you don't make the time, whatever it might be, but guys, that's never going away. And it just keeps compounding, right? To where then you come with this great idea. Hey, we're going to take a couple days and just get after it. And I'm not saying it's a bad idea, but you got to be ready for it. And you got to be ready for the things that may get thrown in your way while you're doing it. That's what we're going to sit around and talk about. Guys, there's a few sayings that we all use. And, well, we know they're just not true, right? Or I don't want to say they're not true, but they might not have the intended meaning, right? Like when people they interrupt you and say, "Sorry to interrupt." Well, if you were sorry to interrupt, you wouldn't interrupt it. So you're not really sorry, but you're still going to do it. I don't mean to offend. I mean, you're about to say some, and you're not worried about if you offend somebody, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. So those kind of sayings you deal with like everyday life, right? There's a million of them I could go on all day. I'm not gonna, all right? But I could. In the hot rod car culture community, you got the same sayings, right? Now, I'm not talking about the ones you see like when people are trying to sell stuff like, oh, ran when parked or original miles, which is one I've never understood. Of course, either way. Would you tell somebody if it's not the original miles, that's fraud? Why would you do that? But you're not going to tell them. Either way, right? Like I said, these things are just the one that I'm really, really feeling right now is, hey, you guys, you got everything you need? Yep, got everything we need, and let's just get after it. And then the first thing you go to do, you realize you don't have everything you need. That started when we came down here and went to turn the air compressor on, and it didn't work. Now I knew it had a problem, like a slight leak, and then I tried to fix that, and it got a little worse. I said, I just need a fitting. Well, as we know with dealing with older vehicles, older tools are no different. So it's hard to find parts. Now, afterwards, everybody has all the answers of all the places you should go, and that happened last night. People telling me, oh, you just try here, try there. I didn't even know these places. Now, that's my fault. I didn't ask. But you don't always know who to ask, right? So let me pause you right now because Jay's calling me. And, well, that's who we're waiting on. And we're back. All right, so like I said, Jay was calling me. He's on his way over here. He lives like a stone's throw from Harbor Freight, so I wanted to see if I needed anything. And of course, I did because, as I mentioned in the ending of last week's video, by the time I got done with the meeting and all that stuff, and it had nothing to do with drinking beer, okay? It was the meeting, all right? If Megan asks, all right, that's what it was. But no, seriously, uh, Harbor Freight was closed. I didn't get any of the stuff I needed, and well, then it snowballed from there, right? So he's gonna scoop that stuff up, just little things like I don't know. We're gonna paint a truck, maybe a paint shaker because that paint's been sitting forever. Mix that up real good because he'll be here forever with little. These are things, guys. Even though we took all day Thursday fixing the compressor, putting some stands together, running all over the county trying to do things for a job that we started already and we thought we were prepared for. Then yesterday, we found out we didn't. Now, we got a lot more done. I'd gone to Harbor Freight, bought those other stands Thursday night. Yeah, after picking up the Tundra. Guys, life happens. Me and Jay talk about this all the time, saying, hey, well, why didn't we get this done? Why didn't we get that done, right? And it's always that life happens. And it's an excuse, right? Because you allow things to happen, right? So we got this saying that culture thing we use at work, which sometimes it's actually true. And it's you get the behaviors you're willing to accept, right? So here I am telling you guys, hey man, no matter how hard you try, you're going to need more stuff. Well, that's because I'm willing to accept that, right? Where if I try to be very organized, guys, and most of the time I am, but I always do have a million things going on, and I'm not always the best at writing stuff down and whatever. So if I had a list, if I sat down, took 5 minutes. Seriously, it's not much more than that. If I took 5 minutes, sat down, maybe sat in front of that truck and wrote down everything I needed. As I'm looking around, as I'm seeing what needs done, I wouldn't be here morning of saying, hey, I need a paint shaker. Because, guys, I've been thinking about going to get one forever. I just never did because I knew we weren't working on it and yada, 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 right? So how do you fix that? I remember way back in the day, I had one vehicle. Actually, I had a 53 Pontiac. And I had just gotten it, and we just bought a new couch. Actually, I think Jimbo bought a new couch, gave me his old one. I took my old one and put it in the garage. And me and my buddy Justin sat on that couch, and we might have had a couple PBRs in our hands, and talked about what we wanted to do. We made a list, and that's when I lowered that thing. I primed it. We got it running-ish. The motor was not good, so... but we got everything we wanted to do on that list was done. Now, that's been years. Okay, this was 2002. That car has been in a bunch of different forms since then and is now requiring my attention again, as we know, and I think about it every day. But if I go back to that simpler time when I was 20-something years old, one project, $3 in my pocket, and a whole bunch of energy and motivation, I actually had it right, man. I sat there, I looked at that thing, and just thought about it. And Justin had a couch too in his garage. That was like I think I got the idea from him. That was the idea was sit here, drink beer, and figure it out, and spend time with one of my best friends, right? So, what are you losing there, right? You kind of take, well, we probably took more than 5 minutes. We might have taken about 30 or so. But we just kind of stepped away from reality, looked at something that we loved, and put a plan together. And then we executed that plan, and it worked, right? Like I said, simpler time. But was it? Because nowadays we have all these things that are supposed to help us, right? And I don't think they are. So I'm going to do that. Well, I'm not going to do it now because actually Jay's on his way over with the stuff and we're about to get to work. But before we start our next project, and you guys will see what that is hopefully pretty soon, we're going to sit down, drink a beer, stare at that thing, and figure out, maybe I'll give Justin a call and we'll talk about it because we're usually on the same page and it helps. It helps to have someone on the same page that, And also want to kind of give you a little stick and rudder to keep you going straight. So there's one other thing, guys, I want to touch on real quick. Another saying that never holds true. It's ready for paint. So my buddy Jason, he said he was like auto shop. He said, yeah, he's ready for paint. He showed his teacher. He's like, yeah, you got about 150 hours left of body work, you know? And guys, that happened with us yesterday. I was like, oh, these doors are ready. We had sanded them and stuff. They were on the truck. Now we took them off the truck. All the gaps weren't done. You know, little crevices, and so they weren't ready for paint. And then one of them had tons of stuff filled in there, right? And I showed that on the video, what I could anyways. That's something, man, if I didn't take that out of there, who knows? I mean, there's no way I was going back on the truck with that all in there. I couldn't believe it was all there. So that's another, just take a little time to really look your stuff over. I mean, how many times me and Jay took those doors on and off? And, you know, Scotty went and bought them. We put them on and off. So this is on all of us. How did we not know that there was 5 to 10 pounds of crap? Guys, it was broken glass, parts of tools, rocks, tons and tons of dirt. It's just crazy, right? And why did we not take care of that? Now, granted, luckily it was inside, stored inside and all that kind of stuff, so it didn't get any worse. But if that was outside in the weather and just water coming down, seeping through the track or whatever, I mean, guys, there was parts of the door laying there. I guess that's what that is, a regulator or something, some kind of brace. How did we let that happen? Because we're so focused on other stuff, right? You gotta really just take your time. Foresight and follow-up, guys. Those are two huge things that I learned 100 years ago from an old crusty senior chief in the Navy. And guys, I tell the dudes at work every week the same thing. Foresight and follow-up. If I took the time to realize what I was going to do, what I needed to do, and then kind of checked up afterwards, probably wouldn't be having these problems. So we'd have different problems. We wouldn't have these problems, all right? All right, so Jay should be here any minute. I got coffee to drink, and we're about to get after it. So make sure you guys tune in on what day is today? Today is, for you, it's Tuesday, but in reality, it's Saturday. So, but you're Tuesday, right? Is that what I said? Yeah. Check out the video on Friday. See if we actually got the stuff done that I've been talking about. Thanks for watching, guys.